Ever met someone whose presence shifts the air, like the room subtly reorders itself around them, and you can explain why you suddenly feel understood, lighter, more honest? Here's the thing. A small group of people carry a rare, refined form of empathy, what Carl Jung would recognize as a spiritual inheritance, forged in solitude into an almost otherworldly perception. They don't just feel what others feel, they read what's underneath. The currents in a conversation before the first word lands the emotional climate of a room they haven't entered the story someone's soul is trying to tell even when the person can't yet hear it themselves. This isn't fragile sensitivity. It's precision sensing internal radar tuned to micro-expressions that flash and vanish, voice tones that carry a history, and the charged silence that follows certain truths. They're translators of the invisible. They can spot archetypal patterns in motion, the mother complex tightening a narrative, anima and animus dancing through a relationship, the wounded child calling the shots, and because they see the larger pattern, they often see the trajectory before it arrives. Not psychic in the mystical sense, just exquisitely literate in the subtle language of consciousness. Early on, this gift can feel like a curse, absorbing everyone else a storm until their own nervous system is flooded. Maturity changes the equation. They stop soaking and start alchemizing. Instead of carrying, they metabolize, taking in emotional information, extracting what's useful and releasing what isn't. Their presence becomes medicine. You sit with them and notice the pressure in your chest loosens, a knot untangles, a next step appears. They don't force outcomes or diagnose you into submission. They hold a frequency that makes wholeness feel possible again. Timing is part of their genius. They know when to speak and when to let silence do the work, when to support and when to step back so your own strength can surface. That's not strategy, it's resonance. They read life like a living text. Synchronicities aren't random, they're signals. Dreams aren't distractions. They're briefings. A number that keeps showing up, a conversation you accidentally overhear, the object that breaks the day you re-avoiding a decision. All of it can be meaningful patterning trying to break into awareness. These empaths catch it and help you translate it. They'll name the deeper pattern without shaming the pain. They'll track the shadow without collapsing your dignity. And when you're convinced you're stuck, they'll mirror back the seed inside the struggle, the breakthrough gestating inside the breakdown. Their boundaries are different. Not walls wisdom. They can dive into your ocean and return with truth without losing their shoreline. That's why people open up around them, confessions tumble out, old grief finally moves, clarity lands. They don't co-sign chaos and they don't enable. They hold the paradox. Your light and your shadow, your longing and your fear, your control and your surrender. Growth lives in that tension, and they know how to stay there without flinching. Jung called it the wounded healer, the gift born from injury, the wisdom forged in the fire. These rare empaths have walked through their own initiations, loss, isolation, encounters with the shadow, and came back carrying a steadiness that doesn't break when someone else breaks. That's why group dynamics shift when they enter. Conversations deepen, posturing drops. People feel safe enough to be real. Whether they know Jung or not, they carry his map internally. They can sense when the psyche is asking for integration, when an identity is too tight, when an old story is ready to be retired. If this is you, hear this clearly. Your sensitivity isn't a liability to manage, it's a navigational system for healing. You're not here to drown in other people's feelings. You're here to help transmute them. You're a mirror for who people are becoming, a bridge between the visible and the invisible, a reminder that timing matters and truth heals. Keep trusting the subtle data. Keep refining your boundaries. Keep reading the symbols life keeps sending. The world is heavy with unprocessed story right now. And your presence, your exact way of listening, sensing, and naming, helps the rest of us remember how to become whole.